This is MFG Out Loud. Courageous conversations about sales and marketing for today's manufacturers. With your hosts, Ray Zaganto and Allison DeFore.
Hello, Ray.
Howdy, howdy.
And all the manufacturers listening. Happy Friday, or whatever day it is.
It's May 1st, I'll have you know. Yay.
I like calling it Mapril. I heard somebody do that.
Wow. Okay.
Is it all together? So today we're talking about a really, I think, exciting topic. Waiting versus doing.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up a fantastic quote this week, and I want to share it with everybody from our favorite, or one of our favorite presidents, I think for many, Abe Lincoln.
There you go.
The best way to predict the future is to create it.
There you go.
And you had some really good insight when I brought up this topic, and I thought maybe you could jump in a little with.
I love that line. You know, and I double checked before I sent it to you, because I think it's originally been attributed to Abe, Peter Drucker. There are a number of futurists that have used it on a pretty regular basis, and it's. I just think it's so appropriate now because we're in such an unprecedented time, as you know, as individuals, as a society, as business people, and everything like that. And I've always been I guess it's just kind of been in my DNA. It's like when you're really stuck and you're not sure, and then the charts and the graphs and the data isn't giving you a clear direction, you kind of get out there and, try something, you know, and see what happens. And I really think we're at that moment, and we've had a couple of episodes now where we're all sick and tired of we're here for you. You know, we're not gonna. What's next isn't gonna define itself based on just you know, that type of an approach. I think we're in an unprecedented time to go out and do something, and not be afraid to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, I would ask this question to our audience and to you. So during the last 6 weeks, have you been more impressed by the brands that showed up as you expected they would? Or the ones, I wrote this question down because I wanted to say it just this way, those who've been brave enough to rethink, reevaluate, and do something unexpected. Right? Like, who stands out in your mind, and who are you going to remember? Who's going to rise to the top of your mind when people keep talking about when this is all over? This is going to go on for a long time. I mean, in some form or another. So, you know, who stands out to you as a real leader, right? Somebody who is brave.
I think even the definition of brave these days is fluid. It went from just a few weeks ago, who's coming out and talking about it, say, hey, this is tough, and we get it, and we're hurting too. So I think there's that element of kinsmanship. We're all kind of in this thing together. From a business standpoint, or perhaps more from a consumer standpoint, what I admire, and maybe I'm just a geek about this type of stuff, what I admire is who's been able to find a way to make it easy for me to get the stuff that I want. And it doesn't mean just logistics and stuff like that. I mean, stuff that I want, it's everything from, I was so excited, I went online and I found our favorite Thai restaurant is now doing curbside pickup. And I was so excited. It's, a little tiny place, but they figured it out. And so many other businesses that are doing that, not just on the retail side, but on the B2B side as well. Who's come as close as possible to make this new normal feel normal? You know what I mean? It's like I want to get back to doing those types of things, to consuming or just doing business, and we're all kind of used to Zoom and everything else. Who's making that easy for me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other question is, and I think this goes in tandem with the one I just asked. While you're waiting, right? Because this is our whole topic today was waiting versus doing.
Yeah.
While you're busy waiting to see how COVID is going to affect business several months from now, or waiting to see what someone else in your space is going to do, maybe a competitor, or wait to see what customers are going to ask for.
Mm-hmm.
In that time, you could be doing something, and I did a LinkedIn post today of why not? And it was simply the idea that sometimes a question is actually a declaration.
Mm-hmm.
So for manufacturers who are, and I'm saying this only because I've spoken with numerous marketing directors and marketing managers, and had people DM me and email me asking me questions. And the consensus is there's money in the budget. Now, obviously, I know things have changed a little, but go with me for a minute. There was money set aside for these things, but we're going to hold off on them for months until we know something. So this is not a put down, because I understand as a senior leader, you got a whole lot to think about. That goes without saying. So this is not a judgment. It's really more of a, let's strike up a conversation about it. Do we think that that's the way to go? Or would you be better off to go ahead and act and implement? Like one of the examples I gave in the post was, if you're putting off doing a website, making a better online experience, for your customers, does it make more sense to do it now and have it roll out in several months? Maybe when the air clears and people are ready for something new, which they kind of are right now, or do you wait? How do you feel about that?
My sense of it is, this is such an unprecedented event. So my question would be, you're waiting for what? Because we really have nothing in our history that we can go back to and say, well, here was an event that basically forced everyone, it introduced such a tremendous change in how we interact with each other. It's of such a duration during a time when the availability and cost of technology is so prevalent. There's so much available to us now. Even drawing comparisons to the plague in 1918, and all those things, you really, it's apples and oranges. It really is. So my argument is, I think there's a window of opportunity. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I believe there is a window for those right now, that there isn't anybody out there that can say, well, in 3 months, this is what the world's going to look like. They don't know. They just don't know. So in that environment, given the availability of technology, the cost of technology, and I'm talking whether it's online tools, the ability to do e-commerce, social media, the ability to add, to bring automation of business processes as well as operational activities, to just turn everything on its ear, there's never been a better time to place smaller bets that can provide very large impact, because it's leveled everything. Because pick the biggest corporation in the world, they don't know how this thing is going to end, but they can begin placing bets and doing some experimenting to move on, and they have just as much of a chance of hitting on it as the small company does. Mm-hmm. So I think I shared in our preliminary conversation on this topic, if there has ever been a David and Goliath moment, for manufacturers in particular, this is it. If you're sitting on the sidelines, you're wasting an opportunity of a lifetime. And I don't say that to in any way take away from what we're going through as a society. The health crisis that's here, it's very real. People are hurting, but as business people, the best thing you can do is you have an opportunity to create things. We're talking to a community of makers, and you've got the ability to not only survive this, but to thrive, to come out the other end, protect the people you have, add more of them, delight customers, grow your customer base. That's what we need right now. Hiding under a rock isn't a business strategy. It never has been, and it's certainly not one now.
Well, and what do you say to, and I ask this because you've been a manufacturing leader, right? Mm-hmm. You've been in the CEO shoes. What's the difference between a manufacturer who, let's say they're not doing nothing, right? It's still, most manufacturers we know or know of are still deemed essential. Mm-hmm. Thank God. So they're still working. I know many are down, not a ton in the last 6 weeks, year over year as compared to last year, but they're down some. But all in all, things are still cooking. Mm-hmm. They're either, so my question, I guess, is this. What's the difference between a manufacturer who decides to, all right, we'll just keep doing the things we're doing. We're going to hold off, though, on anything new. I guess my question to someone in those shoes is that really going to help you get as far as if you went ahead and implemented the new thing now? Clearly, depending on what it is. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not asking the question right, but.
And there's, to be fair, there's a lot of factors, involved. It's a risk-reward thing. It's what's your risk tolerance. My contention is the things you can do now that will pay big dividends later aren't bet the company events.
Right.
It's not like mortgage everything, and go do this one thing. There are a number of activities that, hey, just about any manufacturer, hey, it's everything from, I've worked with small shops that have implemented technology that on a monthly basis costs them a little bit more than what their home cable bill is. Mm-hmm. And what that technology did was allow them to find extra capacity and gain tremendous efficiency and those types of things. I've seen other organizations where, for probably less than, a house payment per month, they're able to free up some valuable workers with a lot of domain expertise and allow them to stop doing redundant tasks and instead think about innovating in the business. Those are the kind of bets, I'm really talking about that are out there. And I'm a big fan of don't waste a crisis. Mm-hmm. It's, now is really a good time. Start talking to people, get ideas. Hey, what's out there? What's out, think of something crazy. Boy, if we could solve this one issue or begin attacking this one issue in our business, we'd have the world by the ass. All right, let's go try it, and ask for some help from the people in your company. There's probably somebody there knows how to do it, or knows somebody that can help. So that's kind of how I see it. I think I get the do nothing. Sometimes it's out of fear. Sometimes it's out of necessity. There might be somebody listening who's running a business that they don't own. And the shareholders are, listen, I don't care what the conditions are. This is the return I expect. Find it, and, if you measure me like an idiot, I'll act like an idiot. So if that means, near-term results at all costs, then what you're going to sacrifice is down the road. If you happen to own that business and say, listen, I think we can do better than break even this year, but if I place a couple of bets here and there, boy, are we going to be well positioned, to do this next thing,
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, in the whole why not question, because what I'm hearing from some of my customers and colleagues are they have these brainstorming sessions, and instead of senior leadership saying, why not? Let's try that. It's no, we're going to, I've had clients that have canceled, even entertaining work that we, was full steam ahead, and we were just getting ready to finish the agreement, and they've been told from up above, we're not going to do anything with that for the rest of the year. And so it just causes me, I just think to myself, what are you waiting for? It's, I had a couple of really good examples that I wanted to share.
Yeah.
Because I think this is, like, we can sit and bitch about, a problem and, propose why we think something's happening. But I also think it's a good idea to give examples of people that are doing a kick-ass job right now of exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. 84 Lumber is a company that I've been familiar with and had interactions with and really admire. And if you watch what they're doing on social media, and they're working with food banks right now, right, to support them. They donated money. They're doing the tiny house. They're working with veterans. They're doing hiring career fairs. Like, they're not frozen, and I think seeing that, especially if you're near them, if you're in the community from an employment standpoint, that's attractive, right? There's something going on at 84, and it's different.
Yeah.
They're brave. Another one that I love is Marvin Windows. They created the simplest coloring sheets, and some of them had their logo, which is, the new yellow. Yeah. They rebranded recently. It's awesome. And, kids were coloring, and then they're encouraged to cut it out and put it in the window, because as Marvin so eloquently stated, in this time of crisis, windows have become used for something different. They have a different meaning. Now, everyone's like, okay, well, that's a window manufacturer. I'm not. I'm a CNC shop. How am I going to do anything with that? But I think the point is that you're getting people's kids involved, and you're encouraging them to do this simple thing that has nothing to do with your business and share it. It's about goodwill. You look like you have something to say. I can tell.
No, I've always got something to say, but please.
No, another one I thought of was, Cambro Manufacturing. If you don't already follow them on social media, especially on LinkedIn, Felix Bagzan is an incredible digital marketer for them. And he's been utilizing TikTok. Okay. This is their in-house person. If you don't have somebody in-house because you're really small, there are people that can help you with this, right? It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. But doing TikToks that are funny and engaging and showing up on a platform where all of your customers may not be there yet. But here's the deal. You make the TikTok and then you share it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You share it on Facebook with with groups, with your customers, with your audience. You're not just talking to customers, you're talking to everybody who matters, who might pay attention.
Yep. I think what's moving, again, it's what the current environment is doing is breaking the myth of the the miraculous salesperson. Not that they aren't out there, but what it's doing is it's distributing that relationship. It's no longer just owned solely by that whoever that one dynamic individual is, because now companies are stepping up, and I'm seeing more online activity. Hey, we're going to do a webinar this week, talk about these things. It's more just like TikTok. It's more quick conversations, and make it easy for all kinds of, hey, come on in. Come on in and have a seat. You're basically on break. Want to learn something? Want to talk about something? Hey, I'm going to go sit down at this table today, that table tomorrow. I'm seeing a lot of that happening, which is really cool. That's because, again, the transactional stuff is becoming so automated and so easy. Well, that's like an expectation. So you might not be able to wow anybody at their ability to pick your product and pay for it. But it's that kind of that after sale or the pre-sale while they're doing the investigation. Hey, would you like to talk to a person about it? And if you enjoyed that conversation, guess what?
Well, you're exactly right. And if people are in the evaluation stage of the buying cycle, what more perfect way to make sure, of course, right now your salespeople are not traveling, probably. They're working from home. They're having video like this with customers and maybe potential customers. But in my mind, because I really, and I know you do too, I love salespeople. I admire the hell out of them.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's just such a craft, and we couldn't, I think, survive without them, right? There are relationship builders. They're the face of the brand for most people. But my thought is this, is that whether it's TikTok, whether it's your blog, whether it's any customer touch point, right? That's not face-to-face. This is a way to support your sales team.
Right.
This is like insurance. So in the evaluation stage, you're helping to move them to the next stage, which is building trust.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. Why? I think we've determined for the most part, people either have there's a myth that they believe something that's not true, right? Like, my people aren't on Facebook, so why would we waste our time? Or there's fear. What ROI will we get for this activity? How do we know it'll work? And, I think there are others, but.
Yep. Well, and, circling back to the, we're cutting, we're stopping all activity, we're just going to wait, is the thing. And since time immemorial, what are the things that get cut in a downturn? Training, sales, marketing, pretty much travel and entertainment. It's the obvious stuff. You just go through and wipe that out. And it's like, now is a good time to be a little more strategic about that, and really think about it. I'm going to beat this this horse till till I can beat it no longer. You can place small bets and get really big returns. It's possible. Micro projects, maybe I should trademark that or something. Just these little hits. Try it. Try something. Ask somebody. There are probably people there making assumptions. I bump into it all the time with clients. And it's like, hey, I got a project. Yeah, I'd like to get your help on it, but I don't need you here for 6 months. And it's like, it's probably a 3-week project, if that. It's like, there's the perception that if I go to get some expertise, I've hired them for life. And I know you work the same way. That the day we start an engagement, the clock's ticking. They want us out of there as soon as possible, giving them the best possible result.
Oh, of course.
So it's like, quit thinking that you can't afford to make an investment in getting some advice. It doesn't have to be us. Should be, but it doesn't have to be. So
exactly. Well, yeah, and like yesterday, I gave a client an idea, and I think the key word here is gave. Like, everything isn't always tied to a transaction. I think there's a lot of opportunity right now to just simply be of service, whether it's us, with clients as consultants, marketers, or whether it's our audience with their customers,
Mm-hmm.
with their sales team, with their people, being of service. So the idea was, why don't you have your salespeople call a couple of their clients, customers who are architects or specifiers, and do a little Q&A with them, right? Send them a care package as a thank you, like, hey, here's a t-shirt, here's a cool hat, even if it's just a handwritten note afterward. But the point is that that architect gets, call it 15 minutes, in the spotlight to really be heard. So what do you gain from that? Trust me, your salesperson cannot tell you right now that they don't have time. I'm not saying they're not busy. We're all busy, and I get that. Some of us are busier than we've ever been. But the point is that anybody can take 15 minutes, set up a call, and just really do a Q&A. Then what could you do with that Q&A? The point of this bit of advice was that they are getting ready to do an ad campaign, and they could use it in conjunction with the ad that's going to come out in a couple months. Q&A with architects and specifiers right here next to the ad. This is not some new concept that's never been thought of, so I'm not trying to take credit. But the point is, my client was thrilled. And they said, that's a great idea. We should do that.
Yeah.
They're not paying me anything for it. Doesn't cost them anything other than some time and some energy to then create the content.
Sure.
But then you can spin that out, as Gary Vaynerchuk talks about, turn one conversation into 15 to 30 different conversations.
Yeah.
Right? So then you're going to spin it out on social media. You could do a blog post about it. You could, this is all interconnected. And what this does is ultimately support your salespeople, support your employees, support the company.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, those sound like some good things you can do. Yeah, you're right on the, give them something. So, be of service. You got to kind of, bring it to get it. Type thing. Everybody today is, what I see is the conversation or the selling cycle in some cases is really a lot shorter. Because if you have those conversations and you understand what the real needs are, you come back with, hey, I heard you, and here's, it was based on my understanding of your business. Here's how this product, service, whatever thing is that I have, here's how much it should save a company like yours over this period of time. Everything's about ROI, right now. Now you can still have those conversations and be a human being, but as a business guy, when I put that hat on and somebody can come to me, it takes away some of the, I'm being sold, as opposed to, no, this is how it turns into money, because we're doing things to drive some level of improvement, and the unit of measure common across all businesses is money. So am I saving it? Am I earning it? Where is it going to come from? Help me get there quicker. And that's where those types of conversations happen.
Well, and I think a lot of this, this whole idea of waiting versus doing, the doing right now is a multitude of things, but one of which, especially if it's trying something different with marketing or with sales, you're planting seeds, right? And as hunters, gatherers, makers, we should always be planting seeds. There's never a season where you sit and wait. When there's something terrible going on, it isn't going to be here forever. Right. So.
Right. No.
The idea of plant now and watch what crops up in a couple of months, worth entertaining.
Yep, I agree.
Well, and I think we should wrap up because we don't want to yammer on here. But, as always, we like to finish on a really positive note. And there is a quote that I absolutely love from Amelia Earhart, who my youngest daughter was born on her birthday. So I've always felt, She's very bold. She was very courageous, and she was very much a category of one. And that is why I love her. And she said, the most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. And I think that has a lot to do with any fear or hesitancy that we all have right now. Should we or shouldn't we? And I personally am following Amelia's advice and am making difficult decisions to do the thing. I'm helping clients do that. We're encouraging manufacturers of all walks to do that. Do the thing. Be brave.
Yeah.
And keep making a difference.
I agree.
So as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. Please subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. We are available on YouTube if you want to subscribe there as well. Share it with a colleague that you know might want to get real already. And what do we say, Ray?
We say we need you to keep manufacturing out loud because we need you. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody.
That's right. See ya.
Thank you for listening to MFG Out Loud with Ray Zaganto and Allison DeFore. You can subscribe and find show notes at mfgoutloud.com.